Welcome once again to a space where we unravel the intriguing dimensions of psychology, behavior, and the relationships that define our emotional and intimate lives. It is always a pleasure to welcome new faces and familiar ones alike to our channel, a place that is entirely dedicated to understanding what makes us human at our core. Today, we are about to embark on a fascinating exploration, one that touches on both the psychological and physiological layers of attraction. The focus of today's conversation is to understand the 5 clear signs that indicate when a woman is physically aroused, a state often referred to casually as being wet. While the term itself might sound simplistic or even crass when reduced to everyday language, the truth is that physical arousal is far more complex, nuanced, and influenced by a wide spectrum of factors that merge biology, psychology, and environmental context. So when we discuss a woman being physically aroused, we are not merely describing a singular physical reaction, but rather tapping into an intricate system involving hormonal surges, nerve activity, emotional readiness, and mental engagement. The signs that a woman is experiencing arousal are not always overt. In fact, most of the time they are subtle and require attentive, respectful observation. To properly identify these signs, one must understand that every gesture, every change in voice or posture, every glance or touch, no matter how small, can carry significant meaning when observed in the correct context. This exploration is not about objectifying or reducing someone's experiences to a checklist, but rather about better understanding the cues that can foster mutual emotional and physical intimacy in a way that is grounded in respect, consent, and emotional safety. Among the most telling signs that a woman is physically aroused is her body language, which, while silent, often speaks volumes. Her posture, her gestures, and her movements can all signal interest and desire, even if no words are exchanged. One might notice how she leans in closer during conversation, subtly reducing the physical distance between the two of you, signaling not just a desire to hear more, but an unspoken wish to feel your energy in her space. It is not merely proximity, but a way of inviting connection, of saying without speaking that she values your presence. This leaning in, if consistent and natural, becomes a strong indicator of her emotional and possibly sensual engagement with you. Another layer of body language is eye contact. When she maintains prolonged eye contact, it suggests that she is captivated by you and the conversation, and that her attention is fully on you. There is intimacy in that gaze, a silent invitation to draw nearer, both emotionally and physically. In addition to these signals, one may also notice how she touches her hair or her lips more frequently. These seemingly subconscious actions can actually be deeply revealing. Playing with her hair, twirling it, smoothing it, or flipping it might suggest nervous excitement, or even a desire to present herself as more attractive. When she touches her lips, it could be a subtle way of drawing your eyes to her mouth, indicating the growing sensual tension between you. Her gestures may become more open, for example, uncrossing her arms and directly facing you with her torso. These signals suggest comfort and receptiveness. Another key gesture to watch for is mirroring, when she subconsciously copies your movements or posture. This is a deeply rooted psychological mechanism that builds rapport and signals a strong sense of connection. If you tilt your head and she does the same, or if you cross your legs and she follows suit, you are witnessing an unspoken harmony that often accompanies attraction and intimacy. As we continue into more physical cues, one very natural and observable response is flushed skin. When a woman experiences arousal, her body increases blood flow to areas such as her face, neck, and upper chest, which results in a visible reddening or glowing effect. This is not something she can control consciously, and because of that, it can be one of the most honest indicators of her emotional and physical state. The subtle blush on her cheeks or the slight warmth you may notice radiating from her skin is her body's way of responding to emotional and sensual stimulation. The color change is an unconscious visual signal of heightened attraction, interest, and even anticipation. What is even more fascinating is how the setting and emotional tone of the interaction can intensify this reaction. If the conversation is emotionally charged, flirtatious, or filled with subtle romantic undertones, her body might respond more noticeably than if the interaction was neutral or purely friendly. Furthermore, every individual has different physiological tendencies. Some people blush easily while others rarely show it. Skin sensitivity, baseline confidence, and comfort level with the person in front of them all play a role in how visible these changes may be. Therefore, one should never judge based on just one factor, but rather combine multiple signs to understand the full picture. The flushing of her skin should be seen as a window into her state of arousal, not as something to exploit, but something to appreciate, understand, and respond to with awareness and respect. It becomes a cue for connection, signaling that the chemistry may be deepening, the moment may be growing more intense, and a layer of emotional vulnerability is being quietly offered. Arousal does not just touch the visible surface of the skin, it impacts the rhythm of her breath too. Breathing patterns can shift in powerful ways when a woman feels emotionally stimulated or physically turned on. Often, these changes happen gradually, subtly, but they are unmistakable to the attentive observer. Her breathing might become faster, her inhalations shorter, or her exhalations deeper. You may notice her chest rising and falling more noticeably, and this is not merely due to nervousness or fatigue. It is a reflection of heightened anticipation and excitement. These are not the kinds of breaths taken when someone is relaxed or indifferent. They are the kinds taken when the body is awakening, when the emotional stakes are rising, and when connection begins to intertwine with desire. These breathing changes are often synchronized with the emotional tone of your interaction. If you share something personal, heartfelt, or vulnerable, and her breath catches slightly or becomes more shallow, you can be sure she is being affected by your presence and your words. Likewise, if you are in a setting that is private, dimly lit, or charged with romantic energy, her entire physiology, including her breath, might slow down and deepen, indicating comfort and a readiness for closeness. Understanding this rhythm allows you to navigate the conversation with more empathy and finesse. Do not rush these moments. Let them unfold slowly, attentively. Breathing is an involuntary response, and that is what makes it one of the most authentic reflections of her internal experience. Let her breath guide you toward deeper connection, not just physical, but emotional too. Her eyes will reveal even more than her breath if you pay close attention. The pupils, specifically, can dilate when a woman is experiencing arousal or heightened attraction. This is an automatic response triggered by the nervous system. It is not something she can consciously control. Larger pupils are nature's way of expressing curiosity, openness, and desire. If you are sitting across from her and notice her pupils look darker or more open than before, that may be a strong signal that she is drawn to you in more than just a platonic way. Combined with steady, inviting eye contact, dilated pupils can turn a moment of conversation into a moment of intimate connection. Eye contact on its own is one of the most emotionally charged forms of non-verbal communication. It creates a bridge between two people and can be felt viscerally. If she locks eyes with you longer than usual, and if the intensity of that connection lingers, it is likely not accidental. Of course, not all eye contact is the same. If she looks at you with warmth, softness, and a sense of longing, that tells you something very different than if her gaze is distracted or distant. Eye contact can be shy, playful, intense, or loving, and each variation tells its own story. Understanding the language of her gaze allows you to tune in to what she may not be saying with words. When arousal is present, the eyes become more expressive, and their meaning becomes layered with emotion, curiosity, and sometimes a yearning that surpasses verbal expression. Do not underestimate the power of looking into her eyes and allowing that silent conversation to unfold. Perhaps one of the most intimate indicators of arousal is the way she responds to physical touch. Arousal heightens the sensitivity of the skin, increasing the nerve response and blood flow to areas that are often touched in close interactions. The arms, shoulders, back, and even hands. When a woman is in a state of physical desire, even the most subtle touches can feel amplified. If you lightly brush her arm and she leans into it, closes her eyes briefly, or smiles softly, she is showing you, through her body, that she is receptive to your touch and is likely enjoying the closeness. These are not always grand gestures. Sometimes it is the barely, their contact, the fingertips grazing her hand, the soft pressure of a reassuring pat, that create the strongest reactions. Her increased responsiveness to these small moments is often a window into how deeply connected she feels to you in that instant. However, touch is sacred. It must always be approached with mindfulness, with patience, and with a firm understanding of personal boundaries. Just because someone responds to touch positively does not mean they are ready for more. These signs are not permissions. They are invitations to connect, to understand, and to deepen emotional trust. Every relationship is unique, and every woman will respond differently depending on her past experiences, emotional state, and comfort with the person she is engaging with. The context also matters. A light touch during laughter is different from a soft caress during silence. Being able to discern the difference and respond accordingly is what separates a thoughtful partner from an impulsive one. The goal is not to manipulate or push further. It is to understand and respond with mutual respect. As we conclude this deeply layered discussion, it is crucial to remember that understanding signs of arousal is not a tool to gain an advantage, but a pathway toward emotional awareness and respectful intimacy. Recognizing signs such as open body language, flushed skin, shifted breathing, pupil dilation, and touch sensitivity should not be seen as a strategy, but as a way to enhance meaningful human connection. Consent, communication, and emotional maturity are always at the core of any interaction that involves physical closeness. By paying attention to these signs, not only can you deepen